Hello, modern language students. Happy Wednesday. Today, we are going to start learning about other cultures. So, our I can statement for today is I can identify knowledge of select cultural practices. In this class, we're going to be learning about other cultures, particularly about Mexican culture and French culture. But today, we're really going to spend some time just jumping into culture and what that word means. So, we will be working with this I can statement for the next several days. We're going to begin our Spanish unit here shortly tomorrow, and we're going to begin that unit by studying about Mexican culture. And so we're going to really continue with this I can statement throughout the rest of this week. So I can identify knowledge of select cultural practices. That means that you can tell me about another culture. So, before we even get to that point, we need to talk about the word culture and what it means. Oftentimes in class, when I ask students, what does the word culture mean? I might get answers like your religion, or maybe the food you eat, or those sorts of things. Those things, in my opinion, are categories that make up culture. But when you think about the word culture itself, if you just really break it down to something super simple, culture means someone's way of life. And that includes lots of things. That can include the language you speak, where you live. It can include your traditions, your celebrations, your holidays, your celebrations, and how you celebrate them. It can also include the clothes you wear, maybe the music you listen to, or what you do in your free time. All of these things make up our way of life, and many of these categories are categories that we're going to explore over the next several class periods with Mexican culture. So before we jump into that, I think we need to take a second today to stop and think about our own culture. I would really like to take a second and to identify the different aspects of your life, things that make up you, that make you you. And so that's what we're going to be working on today. You guys are going to find in Canvas this file. You guys are going to use PDF Cabinet to stop and reflect about this activity. So if you notice in the center, on your copy, your file, it'll say blanks culture. That's where your name will go. You can see where I have typed Mrs. Punzo in the center of mine because this is all about you. So you're going to stop and reflect on these categories that make up your culture. Remember, culture means way of life. So I want you to stop and think about your family, what you do in your free time, what you wear, what I celebrate and how I celebrate it, where I live, art and music, your language, and what you eat. Now, there are more things that make up culture, but I really kind of want to simplify it to just these categories for our class purposes. Otherwise, it's something I think we could go on talking about forever. And so I just kind of want to narrow in and focus on these categories. So I'm going to talk briefly about how I would answer this activity, and I want you guys to use this as an example when you reflect on it for yourself. Okay, so I'm going to start with my family. So for my family, I would say that I am married. I have 3 kids. I have 2 boys. I have a 10-year-old and an almost 7-year-old. And I also have a little baby girl, and she is 4 months old. So I have my parents, and I also have a brother who's really close in age to me. And that kind of makes up a little bit about who I am because he and I are super competitive. Now, what I do in my free time, I love to read. I love to, number one, spend time with my family. And one of my other favorite things to do in my free time is to go camping. I love to be outside and just outdoors. I go stir crazy after being inside for a while. What I wear, here you guys can list several different things. If you want to tell me your favorite brand of clothing or style of clothing or maybe favorite season of clothing. I know a lot of students oftentimes love summer clothes. That's fine. For me, I would say for what I wear, I love to wear comfy clothes, and I love to wear the color black because it matches everything and that makes it super easy. Okay, the next box, what I celebrate and how I celebrate it. This could be a really big one. Um, my suggestion to you would be to choose one holiday to talk about. Tell me how you celebrate. Tell me what that holiday is, maybe your most favorite holiday, and how do you celebrate it. For me, my favorite holiday is Christmas. Um, and I might talk about some of my Christmas traditions. For example, on Christmas Eve, my family, my immediate family, my husband and my boys and my little girl, we always have a Christmas breakfast with my family on Christmas Eve with my mom and dad and my brother and his wife and their family. And that's just a time to kind of spend time together. We don't exchange gifts then. The kids play games, the adults kind of just take it easy and spend time together and relax while the kids are playing games. It's just kind of a nice, quiet family time before the crazy begins. Also on Christmas Eve, that's normally when my immediate family, the five of us, have our own dinner together on Christmas Eve. We go to church that evening, and then normally we watch a Christmas movie together that night before bed. On Christmas Day, we get up, our kids open their gifts. We'll have dinner with my family and exchange gifts, and also have dinner with my husband's family and exchange gifts. So that's Christmas. That's how I celebrate it for my family. The next category, where I live. Please stop and think about this one, because I'm going to say, yes, I live in Kansas City, but I also live in a house. I live in a house on the end of a cul-de-sac. I live in a house on the end of a cul-de-sac, and we have a creek behind our house. So there's lots of animals that we see. For example, just this morning, we saw a heron fly over from the creek. There's lots of owls. There are skinks, the blue-tailed skinks, the lizard, kind of like a little lizard. We have them in our garage a lot in the summertime, and it's really quiet where I live. This is very different than, say, 2 years ago when I lived in St. Joseph. I'm from St. Joseph, just to the north of Kansas City, and my house there was by a busy street. It was loud. We heard lots of police trucks, police cars, fire trucks, ambulances. We would hear a high school that was nearby. We could hear all their sporting events. So life here actually is kind of surprising to me, because since we moved down to Kansas City, where we live, it's actually quite a bit quieter than we were when we lived in St. Joe. Art and music. Sometimes students struggle to answer this one. So think about how you can make these apply to you. For me, with art, this isn't maybe the traditional answer that you might think of, but for me personally, I like to be crafty. I love to make things. And so that's something I really enjoy. Um, I like to do a variety of crafts. I don't have any one thing in particular that I love. Maybe you love to draw. Maybe there's another type of art that really interests you. So think about if art applies to you. Music, I love music. Music is one of my most favorite things. Growing up, I was in band, and I played the flute in band, and I just love music in general. A lot of times in my house, even while I'm working right now from home, I like to have a playlist going and just have music playing in the background. It's just kind of my thing. I love music, and I love all types of music, and I love to go to concerts. It's some of my favorite things. My language, this one may be pretty straightforward for you. I speak English. English is my first language. Spanish is my second language. I am not fluent in French by any means, but I definitely know French, and we're going to learn French. However, Spanish is my second language. I'm the only one in my family who can speak Spanish. What I eat. I'm going to sum this up with probably some of my favorite things, and that's what I would suggest for you too. I love Italian food. It's probably my favorite, just about all Italian food. And I love traditional Mexican food. And I also love South American food. So those are some of my favorite things. I love pasta. I love street tacos. I love arepas. Those are another one of my favorite things. Those are some of my favorite things to eat that come to my mind. You may also want to stop and reflect about maybe what you don't like to eat, because it might be interesting to see if some of these things pop up as we study other cultures. So, recap for this activity. You guys are going to access this document in Canvas. It's called All About Me. You are going to use PDF Cabinet. And with PDF Cabinet, please, please, please type your answers for each category. It's easier for me to read it that way. You will then screenshot it and upload it into Canvas and submit it that way. So take a second to reflect on each one of these categories. Tell me a little bit about you. You guys know just a little bit about me now, but I hope to learn a little bit more about each of you through this activity. And again, I want you guys to stop and reflect on your culture, think about your way of life, and I want you to keep this in the back of your mind as we start studying Mexican culture over the next several days. If you guys have any questions, please message me through Canvas. You can also call me on my work phone. That number is 413-3738. And you guys can get a hold of me anytime between 8 in the morning and 11:15, and then from about 1:15 until about 3:15. Even if you have questions outside of that time frame, please still call or email, and I will get back to you as soon as I can, definitely by the next day, if not sooner. All right, you guys all take care.